you can have content like, why is someone watching this or reading it or listening to it? It has to have some sort of, some sort of a pull. It can't just be, I'm putting marketing copy on and people should engage this and think it's cool.
Right.
Well, not really. People are going to see ads and they'll engage ads for what they're for. And then there's content. We always talk about you either are entertaining, you're inspiring, or you're informing. And so those are the three buckets, because what I would find with people is they go, no one wants to hear what I have to say. Or I can't do that.
Guilty. Yep.
Right? Like I can't do that. They'll see somebody else, remember the days when people would walk down the street holding their phone and just talk to themselves,
Yeah.
And people be like, that's today's kids. That's cringy. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And you go, well, you're not supposed to. You're supposed to do what feels authentic, is authentic to you.
Right. Welcome to The Roll Call, the podcast where we dive into the roles that define us. I'm your host, John Glahn. On each episode, we explore the journeys of people discovering their true roles in life, business, and beyond. Get ready for inspiring conversations about finding purpose and authenticity. Let's roll the roll call. Hello, welcome to The Roll Call. I'm John Glahn. I have with me Chrissie Zavicar, the co-founder and CEO of Stack Brands. She is a branding, influencing in the B2B space.
Yes.
Champion, sports nut bag. I'm sorry, I threw the bag in there. You said nut earlier.
Sports girl.
Sports girl.
Yeah.
Sorry, I translate that for all of us that are sports fans and
there you
sports
go.
nuts. So this is going to be fun.
Yeah.
We're all accounted for. Let's start the roll call.
Love it.
So Chrissie, thank you for joining.
Thank you for having me.
Long overdue for us to kind of, we connected back through why we're in the space we're in today. Is really, and I don't want to make this about Herman, so I'm going to say it once and then we'll move on.
You can make it about Herman. That's okay.
Yeah. So in partnership with Herman today.
Yes.
And in this space that I get to use now is because of more of those efforts. And it's been a ton of fun. And so I'm going to do my best not to dwell on just the sports side because it's so fun to do that, but what you're doing today. So let's talk about how you got here today, that whole journey to bring you to have your own company again.
Yes.
Stack Brands.
Yes. Okay. I will do my best here to make it very focused. So I did. I started out as a sports girl. I was a 4-sport athlete in high school, volleyball, basketball, track, tennis. Oof. And I was a huge baseball fan when I was in high school. Everyone knew me as the Braves girl because I was a huge Braves fan. My dad's really close friend is John Smoltz's uncle. I don't know if you know John Smoltz. If you're a baseball fan, you should know who John Smoltz
yes.
is.
My generation, I know John Smoltz.
Okay. So I was like a 15-year-old super fan. It's the only time I've ever been an actual sports fan in my whole life, and I'll explain that. But I was a Braves baseball crazy person. Oh. So I wanted to work in baseball, which ended up not being a good idea because there's 162 games. And why would you want to do that? You know what I'm saying? But I ended up, because I'm one of these initiative type people, we had a college writing class in high school and I had to go job shadowing. So I ended up getting a tour of the old Tiger Stadium and getting a job for their final season doing guest services, which was, as a baseball fan, getting to be in the final year at Tiger Stadium was awesome.
So cool.
And I'm in probably a lot of people's pictures. Because they treated me like a fixture. They're like, let's get a picture with the guest service girl.
Yeah.
So after that, I ended up going to college, majored in public relations, minored in marketing at Eastern Michigan, and then ended up volunteering at University of Michigan with basketball, and then ended up working for the Lions. So I had an internship with the Lions. The really cool thing about that was the opportunity that I got to have. So I'm old. So it was 2004 that I was an intern. 2004, it's a long time ago. And there was actually not really social media back then. I mean, we had the whole MySpace thing, like Facebook was kind of things were emerging, but there was no social.
Right.
So when I was an intern, it was in the new media department. And after the intern year, I ended up getting full-time in 2005, overseeing new media, and I was essentially a content creator. So I got to be the kind of in-home journalist for the Lions, which was really awesome. Cut my teeth on interviewing. I can interview anybody, anywhere, anytime. When you have to be, you're 22 years old and you're told to go interview this NFL pro and you've never really interviewed anyone. There was some really embarrassing moments that I had to get through. I had to get more comfortable at interviewing.
Yeah.
But then in 2009, social media took off, and it was fascinating to look back on because we had to convince the front office at the time, we have to do this Facebook thing.
Yeah.
thinking about that compared to today is insane.
Right. Yeah.
But the opportunity there, because it was one of those where everyone's like, Chrissie, you go ahead and do it. Like just don't blow anything up.
Right.
And you'll be good. The opportunity to represent one of 32 NFL teams as the digital media point person was an amazing opportunity.
Yeah.
They took all of the websites for the NFL. They put them on one hosting platform so they could advertise across all 32. That wasn't always the case, but they kept the clubs, doing their own website.
Yep.
So it wasn't like it was templated, but not really kind of a thing.
Yep.
And so I got to experience the whole social media evolution.
Wow.
It was really awesome. And it turns out I was really good at it.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed being that look behind the scenes. And I've always taken a lot of pleasure in being able to facilitate those types of moments for fans, whether it's, today I get to do it with Herman. One of my favorite moments, we were at Ford Field and we were leaving. So we were going, because we go before the game and then we go home. And we were on our way out. And as I was walking up to a floor of the parking structure, he had gone on a different floor. And I passed somebody wearing a Herman Moore jersey. And so just for fun, because this is how, I enjoy myself doing this, I said, hey, hold on 1 second. And I ran and grabbed Herman and we were able to have this, impromptu moment where he's going, hey, how are you? And gets to sign their jersey. Yeah. And it was really cool. So anyway, so I left the Lions in 2014 and then went on my own to work with Herman for a year. We had a contract doing reputation management. And then I started my own consulting business in 2015. And at the time, LinkedIn had just transitioned from being a giant black book where you weren't allowed to talk to people that you didn't know to all of a sudden being a content creation platform. And so I ran with that. Wow. So I ended up doing LinkedIn. And so that was really my platform until really right before COVID when I started working with Herman again as his CMO. And then we ended up partnering together starting in 2022.
Awesome.
And that was really long, so I'll stop there.
No, that was not long. That was a lot of years truncated down.
It was truncated, good word.
But a lot of, hard not to fanboy out on some stuff, right?
Pick your poison. I'll take it.
Right,
I enjoy talking about my stuff.
But, that it helps to have, like with Herman, you said that opportunity you gave that fan.
Yeah.
Not everyone in the sports world is open to allowing that to happen, right? So it helps that you're with a partner, with Herman, that he's approachable by anyone and everyone, right?
Yes.
And I just sitting back and I can't imagine being a 22-year-old, let alone a female, in testosterone-driven, massive dudes, right? And holding your own.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's interesting because when you talk about the entrepreneurial journey, it actually created an odd challenge for me when I got out of that space because working with an NFL club, and each club is going to be different. Everybody has their own, culture and how they do things. But ultimately, when you're in that environment, as a female, you are rewarded for being masculine, right? You're rewarded for being one of the guys, and you have to assimilate to the environment so that you can achieve what you need to achieve. And I was authentic, I can have fun and all that kind of stuff. But then you switch to a corporate environment and it's extremely different. And so you're talking about the formative years that I had professionally from 22 to 32 in this, very unconventional situation and then trying to get into the professional world in terms of just very standard. It was a bit of a culture shock, to say the least.
Yeah. And did it, fair to say, corporate world isn't for you anymore?
I've never been a really big politics person in terms of hierarchy. I'm a huge collaborator. Yeah. I like to think that leadership is, I don't want to say it's earned, but it's kind of implied, in my opinion. Like you earn leadership and respect when you just treat people like human beings. That's just my personal, and I know that there's different environments that you need to have hierarchical leadership, and it makes sense. With me in the working space, I like to do kind of collaborative type engagement. So I do enjoy, though, and I never want to work for anyone else again. I appreciate having my own thing. And it's been fun. It's weird to even think about that it's been so long. I mean, it's been over 10 years since I've worked in a quote unquote typical office. But then again, like I just said, I never really did.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that not many people are lucky enough to fall into a passionate environment, meaning doing what you love, supporting something you love doing. Because most people just, I'm going to go get a job with a company because they pay well, good experience and all those things. But they may enjoy what they're doing, but having a fun-loving environment to like be around it, not many people get to do that. And a lot of times it's stepping into entrepreneurism where you actually get to actually create that for yourself. Mm-hmm. And, you've been able to keep yourself surrounded with that. Because even today, right, you are, like you said, you're collaborating. You still get to do quite a bit in the sports realm.
Yes.
But what is Stack Brands today? What's your target? What are you doing?
So Stack Brands was a bringing together of Herman and me in terms of our skill sets because we are strangely complementary in terms of what we do. He is a brand. He's obviously been around branding, marketing, that kind of thing for his whole career. I'm a storyteller by nature. So that's absolutely what I say is my God-given gift as far as telling stories, reaching people with stories. And that translated into what I do with branding and marketing. But I love human behavior. I'm a huge human behavior junkie, which makes sense in terms of marketing. Yeah. But I have this way of being able to really see people or see businesses and recognize what is the thing that's going to engage an audience or the audience that you're looking for as far as what you offer. Because a lot of times people don't see that in themselves. I actually struggled to do my own superpower on myself because I can't be outside of me to give that viewpoint. And I think so many people experience that. They're gifted at something, but they can't do it for themselves, which can be very frustrating.
Yes.
But no, I love being able to just interview people, audit people, talk to them about themselves, what you're doing with me, and then be able to translate that into here's how you can reach people, here's how you can engage people to get what you're looking for with your business. And Herman is a entrepreneur's entrepreneur. Yep. Right. So, I mean, you've got business owners. To me, there's like a spectrum, right, between business owner all the way to traditional entrepreneur where you are addicted to the business of business.
Yeah. Right.
He is all the way on that end of the spectrum. I'm somewhere probably in the middle as far as doing consulting is really service providing, but I do enjoy the business aspect. And he's definitely pulled me out of my comfort zone with that. And so we basically paired together the resources and the business acumen that he's had because he really brings together partnerships and resources as his business structure. And then pairing that with my storytelling, marketing, organic content generation, different things like that. And so when we come together, we actually check a lot of boxes. So it's really like bringing together our skill sets and kind of building around it.
Right. So when you're, like you're saying, you're interviewing, because I felt that myself, right? What do you do? What's your story? I don't know. But if someone is just pulling it out of me, it's amazing how it just, it's in there, right, with everyone. And so many businesses, they think they need to talk about their business, their product, their service. So I'm assuming you're helping them get out of their own head of, no, you're not selling your service, right? Of your brand. What you're selling that story, right? Yes.
Well, the thing that Stack Brands is, and before that it was called E-Link Consulting, but what we look to do is help people create actual content. Because you can have content like, why is someone watching this or reading it or listening to it? It has to have some sort of a pull. It can't just be I'm putting marketing copy on and people should engage this and think it's cool.
Right.
Well, not really. People are going to see ads and they'll engage ads for what they're for. And then there's content. And so we always talk about you either are entertaining, you're inspiring, or you're informing. And so those are the three buckets, because what I would find with people is they go, no one wants to hear what I have to say. Or I can't do that.
Guilty. Yep.
Right? Like I can't do that. They'll see somebody else, remember the days when people would walk down the street holding their phone and just talk to themselves, And people be like, that's today's kids. That's cringy. I don't want to do that. And you go, well, you're not supposed to. You're supposed to do what feels authentic, is authentic to you.
Right.
And that could be, and then I ask them to pick a bucket because anything you do is going to fit in one of those. Maybe somebody does all three.
Yeah.
But the idea is you might be somebody that just loves to nerd out over a particular topic and you're informing your audience of that and they hang on you for that. They want to hear from you. And if that's authentic and natural, it will generate the engagement you're looking for. Mm-hmm. If you're trying to pretend to be someone else or you're trying to follow a formula, it's so strange to me that it's almost like people can feel energy through social. It's like they know when people are being inauthentic.
Right.
It's very strange. Even if you technically are like, how do people know? But somehow it works that way, you know?
And I think for many of us that have started and stopped and tried to figure out how to, as me stepping away and, I was always in the background of my business and I didn't want to be a face of it because it didn't seem authentic to me.
Right.
No, we want them to buy from what the business is, not from me. And there's logic to all kinds of different things. But as I step into, doing business coaching and I have a methodology that's not mine that I am utilizing, but the trust has to be with me.
Right.
And so with me trying to figure out and I generally can only teach through lots of experiences. And so I know from my own experience, right, when someone's trying to I don't know how many people try to LinkedIn me and tell me how to do things. But if it doesn't, to your point, if it doesn't feel authentic to me, I might start it because it seems sexy and that's what someone else is doing, but I'm not going to sustain it.
Right.
And that's what I think happens and why it gets a dirty name is because people start with someone who sells them on an idea for content and then they lose sight over it. They stop, right? The event we were at last week when it was around people trying to measure ROI and all those things, it's like, no, it's all additive, but you have to keep going.
Yes.
Right? So if you try to do all three, like you were saying, and they're not authentic to you, you're going to start, but it's going to fizzle, and then it's going to be a crapshoot of a mess.
Right. Yep. So it is always a matter of, okay, first of all, the people you're looking to reach, are they there? Because you see that happening so often where people are targeting people that aren't there or targeting people that can't afford them or different things like that. So just making sure that that's all connected. But that's really what my passion has been in terms of social and marketing and digital is the fact that I see so many components and pieces at once, which actually I've struggled to, sometimes I struggle to communicate all the things that automatically go through my mind when I'm looking at something, you know what I mean?
Because I already get it.
Yeah, so for me, I'll look at algorithms, business perspective of the actual platform, content itself, whether it's engaging the end user, all of those different things at one time to think through what's the best content, because you also have to think about, you're building on borrowed land. So what is the platform doing? And just always thinking about, diversification, where's the best place to put your stuff. So it's never just like a one size fits all model, but you just keep your same basis of content that people want.
Right. And there are so many different platforms now that, again, worked 2 years ago.
Yes, or last week.
Yeah, right.
It's crazy how things change so quickly. And I was talking to Herman about this last week when we were in our studio down the hall, is the fact that we had a studio in 2023 in a different building. And it was really interesting because everyone kept telling us that we were trying to do it wrong. So Herman's a visionary and he had his perspective as to how he wanted to build it because he wanted it to be turnkey. He wanted it to be easy for people to come in, sit down. You can brand it out yourself. You can do all these different things. Yeah. And people kept coming in with this traditional mindset and saying that's not how you're supposed to do it. And so things kept getting kind of piecemeal, done incorrectly, having to be redone. It was this painful, long process, and it ended up never getting done exactly how it was envisioned. And now it's beautiful. The studio is absolutely beautiful. But the thing is, AI and technology and just the way people are doing digital content in just these 3 years has advanced so much that we actually are even more equipped now with the same concept than we were 3 years ago because of just the changes that have gone on with what's acceptable in content. Like it used to be you couldn't use certain things. Now it's kind of the Wild West free-for-all. You can pull whatever you want really from anywhere and just go with it. The AI changes and different things like that. So just so much has changed. It's even just evolved a business from 3 years ago because you have to just keep going with everything that's moving along.
Yeah, and I think there's a lesson in there of timing, but also of disruption, right? I know Herman, he's a disruptor.
Yes.
And that's what you were trying to do back then. And again, sometimes you can plow through that if people are receptive, if you can plow through that, or it's, the right idea, maybe just the timing wasn't there, right? But now, there are other platforms. I know there are uses that he has for it, planned for it, that weren't available then. Like now it's like, well, holy smokes, we've got a whole different set of opportunities through it too.
Yes. And to even talk about my journey, it's been quite a learning curve just working with Herman. So I've worked with him for 6.5 years at this point. And yeah, it's a lot with someone that's constantly innovating, reiterating, has 100 ideas a day, just trying to figure that out and balance that, and just digest it on a regular basis. I've had to learn how to engage. So it's almost been this professional development exercise in addition to business partnership.
Yeah, well, and that there lots of lessons in that too, because nothing to do with Herman. Those that have those tendencies of visionary, we can't always say yes. They're not always the best ideas, right? Sometimes we have to try them, but having the right partner in place that can now, to communicate with them is probably hard to figure out of like, okay, when do I push back a little here because this is pretty crazy versus, all right, we got to lean into this because this could be something. And I'm sure you deal with that with a lot of your clients, have probably that same mentality of like, I want to go do this, I want to go do this, I want to do this. And you're like, nope, remember, this is the strategy.
Yeah. Yeah. The interesting thing about it is that I've always worked with people that want me to take ownership and really just go in and do it. It's kind of, that's, if you ask the people that work with me, what is a core reason that they work with you, is because we don't have to think about it when Chrissie does it. She just goes ahead and takes care of all of it, because I'm a person that if I get to know you, I can be a true ghostwriter. And now with AI and the different tools that we have available to us, I've developed even better system to be able to do that. But I can really act as influencers and help bring things to a certain point, get a quick approval, and then things are off and running. Herman's not like that. He definitely he wants control over his own brand as well. Yeah. So it's been a matter of it. Like I said, it's been, if you want to talk about journeys and things like that, it's definitely been a learning curve for me to learn how to get out of the depths, because I'm somebody that will just focus and get really deep into something, and having to learn how to be just, I almost say like more airy. I guess that's just like a thing to think about, but just not be so locked into something and be able to move more freely has been something I've had to work on. Yeah, no, I mean, to help business grow, right? In a, like I said, you had your own business and it was you for a long time. And that gets you so far. And then at some point, depending on your own proclivities, your own desires to grow or whatever as a business, you got to get out of the weeds. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And it's an interesting balance, because I work with Herman in his business as a CMO, but then in Stack Brands as the CEO. So one is you're overseeing it and you're in control. The other is you're following the lead and integrating in. And so figuring out the balance of that, So it's trying to figure that out. So when we lead and then when we step in and fall in line and things like that. I mean, I have to imagine, like you said, you get to know your clients so well that you embody them and you can write for them. I come across a ton of marketing people, different forms, right? Marketing is such a broad term. But even those that say, hey, we're going to do content for you, et cetera, it gets a bad rap because a lot of them, I think, maybe they're not listening, or because I've heard so many horror stories of, they're doing it. Why would you do it that? Why would you say that? And then it just becomes thing they don't see through, because then, they're not, I believe, maybe not as intimately learning and getting to know that person. So marketers, we're our own breed. Yeah. And we know, if you're a marketer, you know that everybody has their style. I think sometimes people that aren't marketers don't recognize that you I've had to have conversations where it's like, you can't really mix people. Like someone has to lead. in market. Like you can execute on behalf of someone else, but you don't want to have multiple styles mixing together to try to execute something, because I think people pick who they want to market them based on the style of that individual or company. You want to pick
the feel.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've never been the person to automate. And I know that especially today, that's probably like, what?
Oof, yeah.
But I've just never been that person to want to automate. That's not a part of my delivery system. I think there's definitely situations in which you do, but for me, when I'm working with influencers. I don't think influencers should automate. I think that if you're batch creating or things like that, definitely. But I think you can't omit the human element. And I've also never been one to want to omit the person.
Yeah.
So as in like, I'm just going to create all your content for you and you never see it. Right. Well, to me, that doesn't make sense, because the people are looking at an influencer for access to that influencer. So that person is the differentiator. So you want to make sure that you have their insights, like inform, inspire, entertain. What is it about them that's special? Yeah. And that needs to be a part of the content.
So that is your target market is in the influencing space versus corporate marketing?
Well, I love teaching, absolutely love teaching. And so we have done, corporate workshops and different things like that. I really enjoy teaching younger marketers. So for example, going into a company and working with a team for, 3 months and just auditing and then helping with that process, because you can take fresh out of college or, young people that are growing in the space and mentor and nurture. And that to me is just a ton of fun. I just enjoy that.
Awesome. So you're helping augment, sometimes the big corporations, their version of marketing is far different.
Well, yeah. And also just like when you're in this space, there can be just small tweaks, tools, just very little minor adjustments that it's just a matter of having the experience to be able to see it and suggest it. So, experience is so important in marketing. It's funny because there was no social media degree.
Right.
But I am a social media expert, but I didn't go to school for social media.
Experience.
It's experience. And, you can look, and I will tell people I would rather have a young person who's knee deep in a social platform than somebody who, quote unquote, went to school about it and they're trying to regurgitate something that they read or are doing. I would rather have somebody that feels it, that they're in it. They know what how people engage in it. They know the right way to do it. Yeah. I absolutely just small things, the stuff where it's like, if you ever hear those stories about somebody that took 2 minutes to fix something and then they charged, $7,000 because it was however many decades of experience that it took for 2 minutes to fix something.
Yeah, right.
So that kind of concept.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. Experience share on my part. I had not been social media, steered clear of it forever. So I don't have the experience in it, and I don't have the passion for it, for being in it and interacting. But I had, I hired and had a marketing firm helping me, and there was someone that was doing my social media content for a while, and I found out they weren't even on the platform themselves that I was doing. And so hitting to your point of everybody thinks that anybody can be a social media person.
Yes.
Right? And to your point, if they're not in it themselves, what are they? They're just clicking buttons and maybe just copying, pasting your content that you may have somewhere else.
Yeah.
And then maybe there's a service in that, but at the same time, it was quick to see. So
it's an interesting challenge because people can say that they can do anything and make all kinds of guarantees. And what I found in my early business journey was that the people that are quick to make guarantees and charge a lot are usually the people that don't have a lot of substance behind it. Now, that's not everybody, but I'm just saying that would happen time and time again where people would end up with those of us that are kind of on the authentic side or are doing, well, I lost all this money because they didn't give this to me. They said they were going to. And
countless
it's just
stories.
easy. It's just easy to do that in marketing. You don't, you can say, you can do this and that and the other. So it's just easy to fake it, I guess.
Well, yeah. And that's actually, again, I have countless stories of, that's why it gets such a bad rap, because someone comes in selling a big game because they're going to do their branding, do their content, all these things. But then I think a lot of the companies forget that they have to do the work too.
Yeah.
Right? You can't know my brand without working with me. I have to do the work with you in order for that to happen.
Yep.
And so many people, and I'm guilty, have been numerous times of, let me just throw money at it. They can do it. Cool. So I got some money, then I'm going to go over here. Versus, no, you still have to be engaged in order to make that what you want out of it.
Yes.
And I think that's what happens certainly with the larger marketing firms, larger contracts. That just, without fail, it happens so often.
Yeah. And it really does depend on what is the brand. Because if I am actually personifying a true, consumer brand, that's going to be significantly different than if I am actually personifying another human who's an influencer who has their own personality, insights, and all of that. Like, you want to make sure that human is present in the content and that they, that they're on top of it. You don't want it to be just completely disconnected.
Right.
At least in my perspective.
Yeah. So, you know what? Actually, for someone who is gifted in writing, which that is, readily admit I am awful at writing. Like, Whisper Flow is a new wonderful thing for me, app, so I can just talk things into things. And this battle that I have with my own kids around, my oldest, around writing papers. I hated it too. I waited to the last minute, crammed it out, whatever. But someone who's gifted and loves it, how has that changed with your interaction? Because you mentioned AI.
Yes.
How has that changed for you in putting your own content out?
Yeah. So, and I'm actually really excited because I'm going to be putting out there a productized service to help people with their content creation using AI. Because I mean, we've all seen AI generated content. I definitely use AI tools. I was very excited about just the emergence of them because they help what I already did faster.
Yep.
But the thing is, you can't remove, I mean, you can. I shouldn't say you can't, but you can. But removing the human element out of storytelling, it's one thing to have copywriting. I will use website copy. Praise the Lord. Let's bring in all the AI people to write, all AI tools to write stuff like website copy. But when you're looking at deep stories or things that you really want to resonate emotionally, what I will find is that I want to know the story myself before I tell AI what to do for me, right? So the way I've always done things is if I'm writing on behalf of someone else or even for myself, I'm going to conduct a recorded interview. Well, the really cool thing now is you can do that and you can put that transcript right into AI, and now they can help you. Well, transcribing is a whole lot different. I was of the era where you're actually typing it out. Now, I'm a great typer, by the way.
Yep.
Fabulous, very fast. Anyway.
Best class I ever took in my life was keyboarding.
Did you do Mario Teaches Typing?
I did it in high school.
Okay.
So it
You're
was
probably
the best
a lot
class
younger than me. But
no.
Yeah, I did.
The math works out. We'll talk about it. Yeah.
I did Mario Teaches Typing. I've always been a gifted typist. But being able to get the transcript done just naturally, but then going through and really knowing what is the story I want to tell. And it's amazing how I can actually do my own compare and contrast. Because if I try to give AI something to write, it's awful. But if I know what I'm trying to say, or I know what I'm saying, and I know what the story is, and I prompt it very thoroughly, it can write me something very, very quickly. And then I'm making sure that it's in my voice. I'm making sure that I go back through and edit it the way that I need to. And it just saves you that time of staring at a screen. Yeah. But that's even just the writing part. There's so many amazing tools from, image generation to song creation, all kinds of things. It's in everything now, but it's definitely, I'm a big systems person. I really, really enjoy creating systems in order to make myself more productive and make others more productive. So it's definitely helped with that for sure. But you can continue creating authentic, good content, leveraging AI, 100%.
Yeah, I think there are those, it's a way you can either just dump and get something, or get you there faster, and then you're the one tweaking, so it's not sterile, doesn't seem like it's AI. And like for me personally, because again, I'm not dissimilar. I'm a visionary where I scattered thoughts. So if you give me a board, I'll write all over it. I'm like, can you just put this in a thing that makes sense? Yeah. That's what it helps me at least get it into a frame set. Or again, someone like you, it's that I can say all these things, and then you magically made that map, even though we jumped over 15 different ways. I can tell you have that gift of, okay, I can make that story for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the aspect too of having transcripts, right? Because you're actually writing from actual speech, and I can tell if it looked at it or not.
Yeah,
I'm like, you did not look at the transcript. I'm yelling at a bot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's when you're writing from the actual voice of the person that's writing, it's just as good, but you're cutting corners of the things that get your brain tripped up. Like, I can't stand titles. I hate writing titles. So that's helpful. Summaries, like all those quick things, or this sentence does not sound right, and for whatever reason I can't make it sound right. Please fix this sentence. And it's like da-da-da, and fixes it. I'm like, thank God.
Yeah, and that helps you focus on the things that you're really gifted at.
Yeah.
Even though you can do all those things.
Exactly. It lets you go higher with the things that you can do. So, it can replace that arbitrary time for sure. Yeah,
and actually, I'll do the shameful plug for folks like you and for me or whoever of like, there's a reason that people need people like you.
Right.
Okay? You recognize it's not your strength. Don't lean into it. Don't try to do it yourself. You're going to be maybe better than what you have today. You're going to spend so much time and effort trying to write out. I have, again, I know a ton of people who are like, yeah, I write my own content. I'm like, yeah, how much time does that take? Right? Away from what? And then because they think that's sales, right? Marketing is not sales. Marketing is a major, major step in creating awareness. But they get lost in it because they think that's what they're supposed to do. I'm like, let someone else do that. Your strength is over here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So again, getting the right trusted advisors is the name of the game. So who's your target market? Who is it that can utilize your services the most? So
there's a number of different targets that we have based on the deliverables that we have. So as far as the content creation, storytelling, and branding, it goes from influencers to like I mentioned, the larger companies that have marketing teams that they're looking to, it's kind of like a fractional role that we can come in and do like kind of a revamp of your content, like especially seeing all these businesses now that are doing kind of this more fun social media kind of like, thank you. Because you try to tell people like, it's okay to make people laugh or smile because all you're doing is showing personality, and that's going to endear you for trust, especially when you're looking at commoditized services and things that you either are one in a million or you're actually in an industry that you can't promote. Like, are you in financial services? Are you an attorney? Like, different things like that. It's really about the exposure and trust that you're building. So in terms of that, it's, influencers who are who have high ticket returns or who are representing a large company. The people, it never fails that go, man, I'm doing so much business and I'm really successful. I don't have time for marketing. Those are the people that are always the absolute best to work with because they're so good at what they do. And it's just a matter of taking what they're doing offline and putting it online. It's just reflecting their story. And it's turnkey and easy. But just the teams. And then for our studio, this is what we're just launching now, which is so much fun. Anybody that wants to come in and not just create a podcast, but just come in and have a turnkey studio ready for you. It could be that you come in to do high-level sales calls because you want to have a good, scene around you. You don't want to be doing it from your living room. Yeah. Or you want to come in and test out some different marketing videos. You don't want to do a podcast, but you might want to sit down and do some recording. Or maybe you want to have like that sports center feel and do some content and test it out. So anybody that wants to come in and leverage our studio, we're actually doing it for free, like 30 minutes for free. You can come in and test it out and we'll give you your file and you can either edit it yourself, we'll edit it for you, all that good stuff. So
I do have a brand new lead for that. We won't share it here. But a really cool part because of that offering. And there's probably some more wrapped into there. And I will just throw a shameless plug in here too, right? This is where I am today. And, I mixed in a virtual one today. And what was so amazing is, yes, I do it all the time at home, got my own little shit studio, but not a studio, just my setup. Yeah. And then doing it in here, and Dylan, who's a partner in this too, set it up, and just the quality of me doing the same exact thing that I do at home, what it looked like, 'cause we just replayed it, and it looks just like how people are going to see this today. The Christmas and the comments that I get, I wish it was more about my content, but but the comments I always get is, again, how crisp and clean and well done it is. And you don't have to go build all this stuff yourself.
Yes. And that's honestly a big part of, like I was mentioning, why do people work with me when I do have client relationships? It's, well, she just does it, or it's just done for us, right? Yeah. To be able to walk into an already done studio, you don't have to worry about a camera, a microphone. You don't have to worry about, is your cat going to run into screen, which happens to me all the time. Yes. I have 3 cats. Yeah. And they like to be in the meetings. Just being able to have that instant professionalism, especially for post-COVID era where people are all working from home. People have gone into this entrepreneurial space, solopreneur space, all these different things. Yeah, it's an awesome tool to have access to, for sure.
Well, awesome. I don't want to leave this without talking about the rest of the roles that we play in life. I know you have 3 wonderful children.
I do.
Give them a plug.
Okay, so they're Abby, Jack, and Evie. They're 11, 14, and 15, which is crazy. Only one is remaining to be taller than me. Awesome. Their dad is also taller than me. I will be the shortest in my family, and I'm 5'8". So I shouldn't be the shortest, but it's amazing to walk in life and have your kids tower over you. It's just very bizarre.
Yes, that's awesome. My wife is shorter than me. I'm not tall. And my kids have an uphill battle with that. But again, the always hope is my oldest is now up here looking me in the eyes. So we're getting there. It's awesome.
Yeah. My oldest, who's 15, the doctor said she was going to be taller than me when she was about 2. So she looked about 5 when she was 2, and it was pretty much written in her genes that she was going to be taller than me, and 100%.
Awesome.
It was pretty early on that she passed me.
Awesome. How has, you leaning into more of the entrepreneurial space, how has that changed the dynamic? I don't know if you're getting more busy or if you're, most of the times that's where that rift, when we start leaning into this entrepreneurial space, real potential for the role to be different at home.
Yes.
So how's that working out?
What I find interesting is that once I left the Lions, my kids were, my older 2, I didn't have my third. They were, I think, 4 and 2 or 3 and 2, 3 and not even 2. They don't know life with me working in a quote unquote traditional office or traditional role. The craziest thing about it is they don't know what it's like to have a parent leave in the morning and not come home until the end of the day. And it occurred to me at some point, I'm like, you know what? It's weird. I have this pressure to always be home. No one else was always home. My parents weren't always home. We always had to go into an office, but it's like I don't want to say they're spoiled, but it's like you're used to home office. It's just how things have become. And so they're used to that. I try to get them to learn how to execute contracts with each other. Can we think about negotiation? Like, try to build skills of build a business, sell things. My youngest, when she was 8, we did a pop-up store because we also do print on demand apparel. And she did a brand for a year where we put together that, and she sold her own clothes, right? But my kids are funny. They don't want anything to do with anything that's related to work, and they don't want to make their passions work, which drives me crazy. My oldest is a really great artist. They make good social media videos and memes and things like that. I'm like, will you please let me monetize that? And they hate it. They absolutely hate it. They don't want to monetize things. They want work to almost be miserable. They don't want it to, it'll ruin their passion if their passion becomes their job, which is the complete, not how I've always thought. But it's weird as a millennial to be old and made fun of for being old, when us as millennials, we were like the rebels. We were coming up doing things crazy. No, not Gen Z. They've got their own way of doing things.
One, that is awesome to integrate them into trying to, because school, I'm a firm believer that school doesn't teach you how to do your job. Again, you can learn some things, and maybe it's because I didn't really focus on learning, maybe. But at the same time, right? So I have a master's, so clearly I know everything about business. I learned everything by being in it.
Yes.
And at 8 years old, doing that is the best learning tool you could one of the wonderful tools you can teach your children. I shouldn't say best because there's more to it, but that is really, really cool.
Yeah.
And they're still at the age where they're old but young. They'll realize that having a passion, maybe you can share your story more about you've lived in your passion. It's pretty damn awesome.
I'm interested to see what they end up with. Yeah. I know my second wants to be a historian. Is kind of a musical like prodigy, plays piano like amazingly. Doesn't like it when I talk about it because, Mom, stop talking about it like that. I'm like, but it's so amazing. Oh yeah, and you're not allowed to post your Gen Z kids online. So that actually affected my content quite a bit. But no, they're awesome. They're awesome. And what's really funny, to give you, one more Herman story that always cracks me up, is we were playing this game. It's called the Akinator. It's an app where it's like 20 questions, but it's an app. And we were very careful not to type our answer or say it because we know technology is listening. But it asks you a bunch of questions and, you give them all your data, so whatever. And they just guess who you're talking about. So it'll be like, is it male or female? Are they alive? Are they this or that or whatever? And so I did that, and I picked in my mind Herman because they know Herman. And he came up, and it was one of his football pictures. And my oldest goes, wait, is Herman famous? I'm like, Ab, he's on billboards. Why do you think he's on the billboards? And I'm going, I wonder what was going through their mind. Like, do they think everybody's on billboards? Because he was on with the casino, and I'm like, it was just funny. I'm like, yeah. It just doesn't occur to them. I always would say they're allergic to sports. So their dad works in sports as well with the University of Michigan basketball. They've been to multiple Final Fours. They've been on team planes. They've been in practice facilities. They've been on the sidelines of football, basketball, all this stuff. They do not care. Doesn't register. It's all relative, right?
Yeah. No,
so
it is.
It's crazy.
They've just been living in it. So it's...
But they're honestly, there's plenty of coaches' kids and everything that are really into it. And they're really, really, not mine. That's just not what they do.
It is amazing. We try to, as parents or anything, try to figure out how people become who they are, right? There's the environment they're in, at home, at school, then at work, or how their parents were. And it's amazing how different kids can be from same parents, how vastly different they can be. It's just another human typecast. It's not possible. I love it.
It's not. Yeah, they just, to them, it's like, hey, we want to, like, their dad won the national title, right? And they were all asleep. I'm like, guys, you want to record a video? I had my oldest record a video before she went to sleep.
Yeah.
Because Gen Z, so different, man. So, and they're all asleep. I'm like, yay. Just doesn't even register. National title.
I love it. Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. That's for another story. Recent news of what's going on.
Yes.
But Chrissie, this has been awesome. Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
I love to end with a mistake or a failure or something that you've experienced, that you've learned from, that others can learn from. And we'd like to make it a big one if possible.
Let's see. Mistakes. I'm probably still emerging out of mistakes in terms of making sure that I'm following my strengths and what I do well. It's easy to get lost in an environment where you have a person you work with who is the sought after person. And, before I went into, COVID was kind of this Mendoza line for me, and athletes out there that know the Mendoza line. And so before it, I was doing workshops and speaking, and I was this kind of LinkedIn famous person. Like I was getting recognized and stuff like that. It was very strange. And then COVID happened, so everybody's taken a step back, right? Like I was actually at an event speaking when the world was in the midst of shutting down.
Yeah.
And so that combined with then shifting focus to work with Herman, which is like a dream job because I love that influencer space and being able to, like I said, engage fans, make fans happy, and then also just work with the content. But now all of a sudden it's like you're invisible. And you can go somewhere and you're looked past.
Yeah.
You're not seen as the go-to, and so it's it's still a challenge in terms of how am I going to fit, so it's, I don't know if it's a mistake, but in terms of I'm relying on who am I now, and really letting that lead me instead of trying to look externally for how to be.
Yeah. Right. There's a lot to potentially to unpack in that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, of where, but you're still making a massive impact, right? There's also a reason why that gets to be, because you're helping that happen. You're enabling that.
Oh,
right?
I have a good one now. See, this is what happens. I have a good one. It's sort of in the same thing in terms of following. So in terms of evolution, right? And I see this happen with people. We might find lightning in a bottle for marketing a persona, social, that kind of thing. So this is related to what I was just saying. Sometimes you have to evolve. You have to evolve, right?
Yeah.
And so what I see sometimes, and I made this mistake a few years ago, is trying to recapture something that is no longer for you, or it's no longer the lightning in the bottle that it was originally.
Yeah.
And you'll see people kind of almost desperately trying to recapture something, and you can feel it. You can feel them trying to go, okay, well, you were all engaging me before. Why aren't you engaging me now? So many things change and adjust, from platforms to who we are as people, to culture, to everything. And it's this constant needing to refresh all the time, and not just feeling comfortable and safe in one spot, but allowing yourself to grow and evolve. So I did that once, trying to recapture an old piece, and it just fails miserably, because that's not who you are anymore. And it's not the thing to do anymore. And you got to keep looking ahead and figuring out new things.
Well, and actually, see, good job.
Thank you.
That it is crazy now, because we used to be able to evolve slowly. And now there isn't room to sit still. Everything is changing. Everything, what worked, like you just said, like what worked last week might not work this week.
Yeah. And
so that adaptability, and I have a good friend of mine who was saying, and what do we teach our kids, right? What profession do we tell them to go into? Like, how the hell are they supposed to know what they want to do? Whatever, even at 18, 20, I didn't know what I wanted to do till I was in my late 30s. And now he had a really, really good point that will just lead into this, was like, I'm just trying to teach them to be curious.
Yes.
Right? Just continually ask questions, because if that is a muscle that you continue to, some people have it naturally, but if you continue to lean into that, that's the only way you're going to keep up.
Yes. And I have to remind myself, but I think curiosity is so important. I just had this conversation yesterday, just both for helping people feel seen. I'm going to be curious about, what are you good at and what are you passionate about? Just doing that actually is great in team building, because you're showing other people that they matter. But then in terms of information as well, making sure that you don't ever feel like you've arrived, and continuing to be curious, about the things that come up. So there was, and just in reality too. I think there's a reality component. Yeah. There's one video, I don't know do you watch Club Shay Shay?
No.
Okay, well, I do. And there was a stand-up comedian on Club Shay Shay, and he was talking about the fact that he hated TikTok, and it was because he had amassed like 1 million, 2 million followers, and everything was going great, and then all of a sudden it wasn't. And his traffic just kept going down and down and down, and he got so concerned with it, he reached out to TikTok and ended up on a Zoom call with executives from TikTok, and they were like, yeah, we don't do stand-up comedy anymore. And he's like, what are you talking about? Like, that's not what we do anymore. And he's going, well, I have 2 million people who want to see my stand-up comedy. Why won't you show it to them? Yeah, we're not doing that anymore. Maybe you should try doing like a trending dance or something or whatever. And he was like, I'm never going to do that. But it just shows the power of a platform. A platform can literally just be like, no, and just turn you off, Yeah. And it's an important element, I think, for not just the marketers and creators to understand, but like even businesses, like understand that it's not always just the marketer that's influencing it. It can literally be the company that's going, yeah, we don't really want to do that. type of content anymore. And so you have to keep paying attention and ebbing and flowing with the different changes that are made. And it's crazy.
Oof. God bless you and all content creators, right? That's evolution.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, see, you helped. Great insight from talking through that.
Absolutely.
So thanks. Everyone's going to love this. How do people get in touch with you? And Stack Brands?
Yeah, stackbrands.com is the website. We just put out the feature to do the 30 minutes for free in the studio. So if people are in the area and they want to come do it, we will actually, get your logo, get your artwork, put it up on the TV so that I don't know if you've seen the studio transform, right?
Yeah.
Herman's brainchild of how he has it. So we have all these monitors within our studio so that you can just transform the look and feel with your background. And I'm excited to play around with it because with the world of AI imagery, we can make all kinds of stuff on there, right?
Yeah.
So that, and we can go as far too as to create you your own promotional materials. So we also have print on demand. So we can take your logo, take a saying, and you could have a custom mug or sweatshirt or notebook, when you show up. So a lot of cool things there. So just stackbrands.com. It's right there on the homepage. We also do marketing and branding assessments. So you can come in and get that done if you're looking for that as well. So
awesome. And I know obviously LinkedIn.
I am on LinkedIn.
Good spot to go.
Yes.
That reminds me, I wanted to steal some of the helmets that were in that studio months ago. I wanted to. They were so awesome looking. They're gone now.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I probably sent them to people.
Anyway, thank you very much, Chrissie. This has been a blast. Follow Chrissie, follow Herman, and connect with her. Follow the show, like it. Please share it with others. I know many people will learn from this episode.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Right. That's a wrap.
Thanks for tuning in to The Roll Call with John Glahn. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe for more insightful conversations. Remember, discovering your true role in life is a journey worth exploring each and every day. Until next time, keep defining your path and living your authentic self. This is John Glahn signing off.